What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Taking Command with Josh Taylor here on the YouTube channel. And I appreciate all the new subscribers that have joined on the channel. I just passed 500 the other day. I announced that I want to hit 1K as soon as possible. That's the goal, and y'all are killing it right now, so I can't thank y'all enough. But on this episode, I'm going to talk about something I love talking about, and that is my guy, Sam Howell. Someone that I've gotten to know a lot over on this off season at the Senior Bowl, just talking to him a couple times, interviewing him, and just really getting to know him because I watched his tape, honestly, more than any other player that I watched this entire draft cycle, which says a lot. I did a video on him actually in this channel before I turned it over to a full-time Washington channel. The very first video I posted, it's literally at about almost 6,000 views right now. So check that out for more Sam Howell tapes and stuff like that, because it already has the copyright claim hit on it. So go ahead and watch that one if you want to watch more film on Sam Howell. But I'm going to be talking about Sam Howell here as a Commander and what this really means for the future. So guys, let's do it. Let's take command. And before I get started, I just want to say updated the flag. So we have the flying W. Got some new shirts in. This thing is sick, by the way. This is it's like with the black. This is like the black shirt jersey. I gotta show you the back too because it's dope. I mean, look at this. I mean, come on, guys. Like, it's coming slowly but surely, but this stuff is looking sick. I love this shirt. I got another dope one that I'm probably going to wear in the next video. And like I said, this new flag, it's a little bit bigger than I expected, but still, that W is flying because that W is sexy as could be. I love it. Everyone to talk to loves it. If you don't like the W, it's kind of weird. But back to business, and that is Sam Howell. And I'm very passionate about Sam Howell. I wanted him to be a Commander so bad. I remember seeing all the edits and everything coming up before the draft, before we got Carson Wentz, obviously. And I'm repping Carson Wentz, by the way. Speaking of quarterbacks, I don't care if it's hip or not. This is QB1. I'm riding him. But I wanted Sam Howell so bad. I didn't think it was a possibility after we got Carson Wentz. And I always said, if Washington trades back and gets more picks, there's a possibility if the right quarterback is there, it will happen. I just never thought in my life I would see Sam Howell fall to the 5th round. And that's something I'm going to hit on. So a lot of y'all know I'm actually a writer at RIGGO'S, which is the Washington website for Fansided. Shout out to Fansided. But I actually did a article about 2 months ago, right before the Carson Wentz, right after the Carson Wentz trade. And I titled it this: Commanders trading back in 1st round would complete the Carson Wentz trade. There I am, Josh Taylor, 2 months ago, because I just screenshot this the other day. The Commanders have made a trade. Carson Wentz is officially a Commander, and I just go over what that trade entails. But for me, I really broke down how this trade in, acquiring Carson Wentz, getting that quarterback for this season and maybe the future, and I hope he does ball out, how that can turn into a perfect deal for Washington if we traded back in the 1st round. It's something that I harped on all offseason. I was very sure that we were going to trade back in the 1st round. Matter of fact, I went as far as predicted that we would trade back with 2 teams. Washington could trade back to 18 or 20 and expect to receive a 3rd and 4th round pick, which could mean retaining back a 3rd round pick traded for Wentz this year and the 4th possibly coming next year. But guess what? It came this year. Now, this was with 2 teams, obviously changed up a little bit, 18 and 20, because the Saints made a trade with the Eagles. But the Saints were always the team on my radar. Saints hold 2 4th round picks this year. And like I said, these numbers and stuff change up because they traded with the Eagles, obviously, and might be more willing to trade away their 2022 3rd round pick. Also, the Steelers were the team I was looking at if they were to possibly trade up for a quarterback. I always knew in the back of my head, the Saints, for some reason, just seemed like that sweet spot, that team. And as soon as it happened on draft night, I was there at the field, as a lot of y'all know, and I was like, man, I legit saw this happening 2 months, from now or from then. It was like a month and a half or whatever. I was like, I saw this right after the Carson Wentz trade. I saw that as the perfect plan. And of course, you had to have a suitor to trade back. You had to have someone that wanted to trade with you. And there were so many trades in this draft. We didn't expect it to happen that way. So I knew there was a slight chance of it, but always in the back of my head, it was the perfect scenario. Little did I know the rest that would come into place with that. So like I said, we trade back with the Saints. Washington dealt the 11th pick to New Orleans in exchange for the 16th overall pick and 3rd round pick 98 and 4th round pick 120. I hate to tell y'all, but I called this. I said Washington could trade back to 18 or 20, let alone we ended up at 16 after the Saints trade with the Eagles pick. And we got the 3rd and 4th round pick exactly like I said we would. So it feels good. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm patting my back because it just feels good looking into something, listening to everybody talk, being plugged in with this team as much as possible, and just really thinking logically. And that's what came to my mind, is that this is what we could do. I studied many trades in the past, the Josh Rosen trade, Patrick Mahomes, so on, all these trades that happen in the draft for teams moving around. And for me, that's what I landed on. That 3rd and 4th round pick is what I really zoned in on. And for me, it was always the Saints. Now, in that same article, I also mentioned Washington could still be in a great position to draft a quarterback. I said I meant this year if they wanted one to sit for a year or build a team around Wentz and take a quarterback next year if he doesn't work out, with no financial loss and releasing him. Now, I hit this really hard. I just did another article for RIGGO'S Rag talking about Sam Howell. So I'm not going to pull over that same stuff. If you want to look into that and how I really broke it down on the website, check it out. Go over to RIGGO'S Rag. Awesome group of writers there. But still, I just broke down more of why Sam Howell could really be a steal. But I'm going to look at it in another way of this video and just more of the potential, what I saw out of Sam Howell. Like I said, this is the guy I studied the most. I became such a huge Sam Howell fan at the Senior Bowl. Just talking to him as a person and how he reacted and just how he carried himself as a person. So, of course, the draft goes on. We get Jahan Dotson. We get Phil Mathis. We get B-Rob with one of those picks. So I wanted to see what this trade back really looked like and how it started playing out. But it does not go without Washington making one more move, of course, to the Panthers. Washington trades back. The Commanders received 2 5th-round picks really close to each other, 144, 149. One was Cole Turner at 149. And the Panthers received that 120 pick and a 6th-round pick of ours, which I was completely okay with. But I knew in the back of my mind, something went into this trade. Something kind of triggered for this trade to happen. They didn't just say, the heck with it. Let's just trade and see who's there. Let's risk it on draft day, really see what happens. I think they looked at this board and they saw Sam Howell as a possibility at 144. And sure enough, boom, with pick 144 overall in the 2022 NFL draft, the Commanders are selecting quarterback Sam Howell, who doesn't eat steak, which still concerns me. I wish I'd have known that when I was at the Senior Bowl. I would have asked him. I mean, we had breakfast together. There's this breakfast get together. So I'm glad we didn't have dinner, because literally the only thing I had in Mobile was steak and seafood. But he said he only eats chicken and stuff. Super concerning, but hey, shout out to him. Whatever his diet is, he's killing it. But I legit just had a steak an hour ago. So I could not go without steak. So not sure how he has this long. But still, I've shared some videos and stuff on Twitter and interviews with them. So there was interviews after practices on the field, of course, after the game, there's opportunities. I was on the field, so I got to talk to him a couple times. But then also in that morning, breakfast huddle, there was both teams came in at separate times. It was an hour and a half, 2 hours long for each team. You could go up to players and talk to them. But one thing that was really interesting about Sam Howell was how he harped on what he really wanted to accomplish was for people to know who he was as a person. He felt like the games and the film and his career at North Carolina spoke for itself for him as a person. He said, I just want people to know who they're getting with Sam Howell. I'm a strong man of his faith, a strong leader, someone who doesn't quit, high competitive toughness. This is the things he harped on. Big in his faith, big in his mind. He's confident in who he is, and he's confident in his abilities. And what he can do with a team around him and lead those guys in the right direction. And that's all things I really want in a quarterback, a leader, someone that's strong, someone that's not going to, get in these middle games. I've never really saw that out of Sam Howell. Yes, he's made some bad plays. I saw him. I was at the Virginia Tech game last year, home opener at Tech, crazy atmosphere, obnoxious atmosphere, but still just crazy. I said before the game on another show, I said, I don't see North Carolina winning this. I think they were ranked like 10 or 11th at the time. First game of the season, Virginia Tech wasn't ranked. Sam Howell had a brand new offense. He lost Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Daz Newsome, and of course, De'Ami Brown to us. He lost 72% of just his passing production in the draft. That's not even considering the running game that he had with Carter and Williams. So I looked at it as, he had Ty Chandler come in, transfer out of Tennessee, ended up going over 1,000 yards rushing in his one and only season at North Carolina. I was a big fan of Ty Chandler as well. But I thought it was interesting because Virginia Tech and Blacksburg is not a place you want to start. That defense, that crowd, that atmosphere, the noise. As your first game in the season with all these new guys, new guys on defense, new guys on offense. The offensive line. It's a tough. I said they were going to lose this game. And I said I didn't think Sam Howell. This is going to tell me a lot about Sam Howell. Now, I will say this. You watch the game. You break it down. There's a couple plays I included in the video that's below here. If you go back and look, very first video in this channel. It's not far back. I've only done like 12 videos. It's Sam Howell breaking down some film in just that game alone. He made some boneheaded plays. There was a terrible interception in the game where he's getting tackled. But the dude was running for his life the entire game. But then he was also making crazy throws with a defensive guy probably about 5 yards in front of him. He throws the ball sidearm around the defender to hit Josh Downs in stride. Who, by the way, Josh Downs went from his wide receiver 3 the season before into wide receiver 1, who's also a great draft prospect for the year coming up. He became the 4th wide receiver in ACC history to have over 100 catches in a season. That's crazy. In just that one season. So the thing I struggle with as someone who watches the tapes, someone who watches the games, sometimes I just sit back and watch. Sometimes I just listen to people talk. Same thing with this Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher stuff that's going on with NIL deals. If you don't listen to college football, don't worry about it. Sometimes I just sit and watch and listen to people. But I hear people saying, oh, Sam Howell, he didn't look good last year. Sam Howell, he had a bad last season, that junior year. Just wasn't good for Howell. But I'm scratching my head. I'm saying, can you point out like where you think it was bad? He ran the ball more last year than he ever did in his career at North Carolina. And I actually asked him that, was that by design or was that something that just kind of happened? And he said, we started, early because he knew once again, they lost Carter. They lost Williams. Yes, he picked up Chandler. But his running game gave the offense another aspect that defenses had to worry about. It's another weapon, essentially, that this North Carolina offense had. So he said, we did it early and often. And it turned out that it was working, so we stuck with it. It wasn't something going into the season like, hey, Sam, we need you to run more. We need you to use your legs. We saw you do it in high school. We've done it a little bit here, but not as much as we like. It wasn't like that at all. It was something he did, and the offense was kind of built around that. He ran the offense through his legs as well. So I have the stats for Sam Howell's college career in North Carolina, and I just want to talk about this a little bit because I'm stuck wondering where would it go bad? Because before this last season, Sam Howell was a top 5 pick. Top 5 pick, and people fall. Spencer Rattler sucked. Transferred to South Carolina. He was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick this year. And things change. But where did things change for Sam Howell? I don't see it. 2019 as a freshman, yes, he started. Yes, he threw for over 3,600 yards. Yes, he had 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions with a passer rating of 160.2. Yes, he didn't run the ball much. Only had 35 yards, 1 touchdown, probably in the end zone, like in the red zone somewhere. Probably wasn't something crazy. 2020, him and his weapons are clicking. He has a 2-headed monster at running back. They're just running the ball down defenses' throats, but still over 3,500 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and still only ran the ball for 146 yards that sophomore season. Had 5 rushing touchdowns, though. So a little bit more play action, RPO stuff in the red zone. But this here is where I want these people saying that Sam Howell had a bad season. Please tell me where it went wrong. And for me, I look at this. 3,000 yards passing still. Had about the same amount of attempts and about 500 yards less. Okay. He lost that deep threat with Daz Newsome and De'Ami Brown. Deep threats. Now, Josh Downs is a yak god. That man can catch a ball and be gone. I want to say he led all Power 5 last year, even over Jordan Addison and Yak. But outside of Josh Downs, there was not much at all in production of wide receivers and tight ends. Ty Chandler caught the ball a little bit, not too much. Outside of Josh Downs, Sam Howell had nothing. Nothing. Still, 24 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. I'm seeing single-digit interception numbers every single season. He finished his career passing-wise with 10,283 yards, 92 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions. I'm going to go back to this graphic because the running game is what sticks out for me in this last season. Just how he changed the offense. He, as a leader, as a quarterback, changed the offense at North Carolina. Sam Howell ran the ball 183 times. Had 828 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns with a 4.5 average. 828 rushing yards from Sam Howell in the ACC. And I harped on this more in that article through RIGGO'S. Like I said, go check that out. But he was second in the last 7 years in forced missed tackles. You know who was number 1? Malik Willis. Number 2, Sam Howell. Number 3, his old running back, Javonte Williams, while he was at North Carolina. So I want to know where this bad season was with Sam Howell. So just because passing-wise, on paper, there was a dip, but his running game took an elite leap. Elite leap. I will stamp elite leap. I might trademark that. Elite. He went from 146 yards rushing to 828 and 11 touchdowns. I can harp on it, but I think y'all get it by now. Sam Howell did not have a bad season. He was on a bad team who has a great wide receiver in Josh Downs. Looking forward to seeing what he does in North Carolina. Had a great running back with Ty Chandler. If you follow me on Twitter, @JoshTaylorFB, you know that I loved Ty Chandler. But for me, I don't see where the downfall and what would make him fall. I get it. He's shorter. People will compare him to Baker Mayfield, whatever. I don't see that. I see Baker as this is his problem. Sam Howell's not going to have that problem. Now, let's look at it in a Washington way. I'm not going to make this a long video. Carson Wentz is our quarterback going into this next season. He has injury history, let alone has missed some time in the past. We know he was this MVP caliber quarterback until he got injured, dislocated both of his ankles, crazy stuff. Hasn't really looked 100% the same, but there's absolutely an upside to this offense now with Carson Wentz at quarterback. But, and like I said, I'm wearing the shirt right now. You can't say I'm not supporting Carson Wentz. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Like $40, $50, I don't know. I hope Wentz absolutely balls out and wins the NFC East this year. I would absolutely love it. It's funny is I never actually hated him as an Eagle just because I thought he was a good guy. He never just ran his mouth, anything like that. I had nothing against him. Hate the Eagles with a burning passion. Hate the fan base. Hate everything about it. Sorry, it's personal. But I never was against Carson Wentz. But look at it in this way. Carson Wentz, big cap hit this year. We didn't restructure his contract any. Maybe it still comes. Maybe it doesn't. There's still this June 1st signing. You can still sign somebody. I think we're saving all this money for Terry McLaurin, but still, I don't see us restructuring Carson Wentz's contract. I think it's just going to stay what it is. But still was $28 million this year, something like that. But next year, it is no financial cut, no burden, nothing. absolutely nothing to get rid of Carson Wentz. You just flat out get rid of him and move on from him. And I personally think Sam Howell would be ready. He was the only quarterback in this entire draft. And it's not saying much because, Ritter fell, Malik Willis fell, Strong went, undrafted free agent, got signed by the Eagles. So it's not saying much. He was the only quarterback in this draft who was consistent, who had production every single year. Kenny Pickett was at Pittsburgh for 20 years and then just had this magical last season all of a sudden because he finally just clicked for him. And boom, he's a top, first round draft pick, top quarterback in the draft. Malik Willis, love him to death. Had some bumps in the roads at Auburn, transferred to Liberty. The interceptions killed him this past year. Once again, didn't have anything to work with. But Sam Howell was the most consistent quarterback. I don't care about wins. I don't care about losses. That defense was one of the worst college defenses I've ever seen. Just go watch that South Carolina game where they open up with like 3 80-yard bombs against that North Carolina defense. It was so bad. So bad. But Sam Howell did everything he could. He might play this year. Like I said, if Carson Wentz gets hurt, you just never know. I'm looking forward to the preseason games. That sounds stupid. I don't care. I'm looking forward to Sam Howell throwing bombs to De'Ami Brown again. That connection, De'Ami Brown throwing up that deuce in the end zone. I cannot wait for that. It's going to happen. I'm going to go to the games. The Panther game is at home. They just announced it's at like 1 o'clock in August. I forgot the exact date. But still, I'm looking forward to that. But this was a smart plan by Washington. The trade back, which I knew was going to happen. Getting that third back in the Carson Wentz trade and then flipping that. Flipping another pick that the Saints gave us, that 120, flipping it to the Panthers to get even more picks and then turning one of those picks into Sam Howell, who can possibly be the future. If it's not next year, that's fine. If it's not the year after that, cool. If it doesn't work out and he just doesn't ever play or he goes somewhere else, he was a 5th round pick, an extra 5th round pick that we got. We got Cole Turner with the other one. We got Jahan Dotson in the 1st round by trading back. I'm not mad about any of these picks at all. We got B-Rob, who I think is going to have a great contributions here. So I really do think Carson Wentz is going to work out. But if, let's talk about long-term. Because Carson Wentz is getting up there in age. Like, we know this. We know the injuries and so on, like I just talked about. If Sam Howell's the future in 3 years, that's fine. You're going to be like, holy smokes, we traded a 5th round pick for this guy back in 2022, early 2022, and he's the future of our team. Now, we don't have to worry about mortgaging 3 firsts to trade up for a guy like Bryce Young, who I would obviously love, CJ Stroud, whoever, or whoever's the big, Arch Manning. It doesn't matter. Like, if he pans out to be the future, then awesome. This worked flawlessly. You literally finessed a couple picks and trading back and turn a 5th round pick into your future at quarterback. Do a lot of late round quarterbacks pan out? No. There's not every quarterback drafted in the 5th, 6th rounds, not Tom Brady. Doesn't happen that way. But that's okay. Sometimes it just takes one quarterback to just stick. Could Sam Howell be that dart that finally just sticks for Washington? Could Carson Wentz? Absolutely. Could Sam Howell? Yes. Heineke, I'm not even going to go there because I'm probably going to lose subscribers. But still, I'm obviously not a Heineke fan. Love his heart, love his grit. But the limitations on arm. Sam Howell has one of the prettiest passes. I can't wait to go to training camp. All the videos are going to be like, man, Sam Howell throws a pretty ball. It's coming. So save this video. Just wait on it. But at the end of the day, guys, I feel really good about drafting Sam Howell. Like I said, just became a fan of him as a person, but I've always loved Sam Howell as a player. Watching this guy ball out in North Carolina and then just going back and just literally watching the entire 2021 season as much as I did. I mean, I spent like 3-4 weeks on just Sam Howell. Did a write-up on him. Like I said, did that video that's on this channel. So go watch it. And then just drop what you think in the comments. How you feel about Sam Howell. How you feel about Carson Wentz. Because like I said, I'm rocking with him. QB1. Heineke's possibly QB2. I don't know. Who cares? But Sam Howell might be the future. And it could possibly turn out to be one of the best things Washington has done. Or could it just, be whatever. Didn't work out. Sam Howell's not good or whatever. only a 5th round pick, and it's going to be forgotten like this. It wasn't a 1st round pick. It wasn't trading all these first to move up to get RG3 and then just turn into like this PTSD at quarterback for years. I was born in 93. I've been watching bad quarterback play for a long time. So like right after Doug Williams, right after the Super Bowl, boom, it was me. But I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see what he does in the preseason. Like I said, guys, I appreciate all the new subscribers, everyone who's liked this, all the comments y'all leave with me, man. I mean, there's so much good, positive words that y'all leave with me that push me to do more. And I love it. I love hearing y'all's inputs and y'all's opinions because we all have different opinions and none of them are wrong. Like flat out, no opinion is wrong because that's genuinely what you think. And that's how I feel. I enjoy hearing y'all talk. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and drop that subscription because I'm trying to get to that 1K subscribers so I can start making some money off this because y'all know this is my life. This is my passion. This is what I love doing. And y'all make it even better. So I appreciate y'all. I'm going to do a mailbag episode actually coming up soon. I'm going to do it live on Sunday. Let's do Sunday, May 29th. I'll do it live on YouTube, live on Twitter. Like I said, at Josh Taylor FB is my Twitter. So drop any questions you have in the comments of this video. Already video, I get notifications on those comments, but drop any question you have, whether it's draft picks, off season, upcoming, the schedule, other opponents, anything, life, me, food, why Sam Howell doesn't eat steak, anything, drop it in the comments because I want to read y'all's questions off on the show. And I'm like I said, it'll be live anyway, so y'all can chime in live on the channel as well. But if you miss out or you don't think you can make it, drop those comments because I love hearing from y'all. I'm looking forward to a next video coming up. Before then, though, I'm not going to be gone but so long. I'm going to drop another video coming up in the next few days before the mailbag episode. So stay tuned for that and find out what that video is going to be. But guys, y'all are awesome. The gear looks good. The flag looks good. I'm feeling good. Draft picks look good. The offseason always looks good. And we just pray for the best. Training camp will be here soon. OTAs will be here soon. But guys, as always, I'm Josh Taylor here on Taking Command with Josh Taylor. Kill it this week, guys. See y'all in the next video.